Welcome back to a special hour on revisionist history on the Glenn Beck program. We've got Hillsdale College professor Barton Jr. here to help us out with this crash course on revisionist history. One of the most commonly misunderstood phrases in the history of this country is, quote, separation of church and state. Our founders intended one thing, and the governments of today believe another.
How many believe that that our founders put in a separation of church and state to protect the people from church? How many people here believe that it was separation of church and state means that that was put in there as a protection from of the church from state? Okay, and some are not sure. Is there another answer than that? Or you're just unsure? You'd say the other way around? You'd say protect the state from the church. David?
Separation church and state, let me go at it another way. Number one, the phrase doesn't exist in any constitutional document, any government document. So we're now talking about a metaphor that has no place in the Constitution except because judges tell us it belongs there.
Right.
Second is the history of the phrase, if you want to attach it to the First Amendment, go to the Bill of Rights. The purpose of the Bill of Rights goes back to the Declaration. There's a creator. He gives inalienable rights. Government exists to protect those rights. The Bill of Rights exists for no other purpose than to make sure we have the right to practice what the Creator told us we could do.
This is really important. This is going to blow your mind. This is a training manual from the Air Force, 1954. Now listen to this. This is unbelievable. The idea uppermost in the minds of men who founded the United States was that each and every human being was important. They were convinced that the importance of the individual did not come from any grant from the state. This importance of the individual did not come from any position he had achieved, nor from power he had acquired, nor from any wealth he had amassed. They knew the importance of man came from the very source of his life. Because man was made in the image and likeness of God, he had a destiny to achieve. So in other words, there's something you've been sent here to do. You're not just a schlub that has been pumped out in a baby factory. You made a deal with the Creator, and He sent you down to achieve something. You have purpose. And because of that, He had a destiny to achieve, He had inalienable rights, and the inherent in freedom, a freedom to achieve it. That is the basic idea.
Yeah. Now,
that's incredible.
If you take that and go back to separation church and state, the purpose of the Bill of Rights is to protect an inherent and inalienable right, which is the right of conscience, the right to worship God, however we want to describe it. When they wrote the First Amendment, they used both terms. The interesting thing is everything in the Bill of Rights does not limit a citizen at all. Everything limits the government. The First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. No individual is prohibited from anything. Congress is told it can't set up a religion and it can't stop anybody from practicing their religion.
That's what's protecting. You can't have a state. When you say protecting the state from a religion, it is that. We can't become a theocracy. We don't want the state telling us how to live our lives and practice worship of God.
We know that the founders were all religious people, and we know that they talked about God in government documents as well as in their private writings. What happened? Why is it that God is banished by the government from the marketplace, from the public square today?
Well, there was no mention of a wall of separation in any of the founding documents.
Right.
It comes in the next century with Thomas Jefferson, and when it comes, Jefferson is talking about protecting the Baptists of Danbury, Connecticut from interference by the state, not protecting anything by the state from religious groups. So the distortion is absolutely enormous.
Is it fair to say that the drafters of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, especially the First Amendment, which guarantees freedom of speech and guarantees freedom of religion, and that the government will not establish or fund a particular religion or force a religion on you, these people understood that God was a part of their lives and would be a part of their lives. They just didn't want the government having anything to do with the church.
They didn't want the government to set up a theocracy or an established religion. Other than that, they wanted Christian influence on all parts of the United States.
Thanks, Professor. Glenn says it's not the big banks that are bringing us down, it's the unions. The history of labor unions in America is next on the Glenn Beck program.